We've got episode 4 of the Knights of the Round Table podcast right now. I'm Jack Kaiser. Thanks for joining us. Bellarmine athletes and coaches are coming on weekly. We're here to share their stories. A lot of good ones so far, and coming up soon, every episode is on the Bellarmine Athletics YouTube page and Spotify. You can find the links and clips across our social media platforms at BU Knights. Let's roll through our previous guests. Greg Fisher from men's soccer, Seville Gates from the volleyball team, Alyssa Francis, senior goalkeeper for the women's soccer team, who just qualified for the ASUN tournament, by the way. Congrats to them. But a team that's made Knights headlines the last couple of weeks is field hockey, and we have one of their leaders with us today. She's a MAC Defensive Player of the Week, 3rd in the nation in total saves. She led the country in saves this spring. A brick wall in the cage. Senior field hockey goalkeeper Bre McWhorter is on the mic today. Bre, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did you like that introduction? Was it adequate for you?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that change of voice.
You got to enunciate, right? But yeah, any other titles for yourself that you want to add?
This might be goofy, but the Breland Wall.
The Breland Wall?
Yeah, but it's not coming down.
Oh my God. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Who gave you that nickname?
I got it in high school. Like we went to the state championship, and then that was all my friends started calling me that.
That is phenomenal. I'm a very punny person. I can't believe I never thought of that before. That is fantastic. So our social media guy, Axel, watching right now, next time we post about you winning Defensive Player of the Week or making a great save or whatever it is, Breland Wall is the caption to use. All right, Axel? Write it down. That is fantastic. That's a great way to start. But I usually like to start with this. If you weren't with us right now, what would you be doing?
In this moment?
Yeah, like you have some free time. What would you be doing?
Honestly, I'd probably be watching Netflix. I don't really get a lot of time to watch my favorite shows, especially during season. And whenever I get the chance, I either like to take a really good power nap or just watch my favorite show on Netflix, which is right now season 3 of You and the British Baking Show.
British Baking Show.
Yeah,
is there an American baking show?
I don't think so.
Anything else that you watch or have watched that you really like? I'm looking for suggestions here.
Oh, I recently watched the new movie Dune that came out, and it is really good.
I've heard good things about it.
Yes, it is super good.
I just went to see James Bond, and I really liked it.
Oh, I'm going to see that soon, hopefully.
Okay. Now, it's 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours, but it doesn't feel that long in my opinion, so that's a good thing. But I've heard really good things about Dune, so I'll have to check it out. Is it based on a series?
See, I didn't know. I was going to look if it was based off a book or something, but I heard that it's going to be kind of like the new Star Wars, and kind of take over that. So, and there definitely has to be a second movie the way it ended.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of action, but there really weren't any main points in the movie. You'll have to see it. It's really hard to explain, but it's very good.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it. I'm intrigued now.
Yeah.
So something else I want to get out of the way right off the bat. I have something I actually want to apologize to you for. I want to own up and do it on the air. You might want to punch me in the face. I don't know if you knew this was me or not.
No.
Let's flash back to September 10th for your game against UC Davis.
Oh, no.
I had just started this job. My first official day was the 9th. And I broadcast a lot of games doing play-by-play on the air, but I've never done public address announcing before. It was my first time that day. I was told to introduce the goalkeepers last. But the issue is, with your number 0, you're first on the roster. So I forgot to come back to you at the end, and I skipped your introduction. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, but that's fine. I feel like that happens a lot. When we rewatch the games, there'll be announcers that kind of throw little jabs in or something. It's backhanded compliments, or they completely just forget stuff. One time I had an announcer that was commented on my height, but it wasn't a really. I don't know. They just said weird stuff she stands really tall in the cage and for her height at 4'11", and I was like, what does that have to do with anything? But
yeah, I mean, I totally understand that from a player's perspective. And here at Bellarmine, as announcers, we try not to throw any of those in there.
Yeah.
But I want to apologize for just completely spacing to come back to you on the list because, again, I was told announce the goalkeepers last, but you're number 0, so you're first. And I forgot to circle back around.
And
so
all the other goalies are last.
Usually, that's right. So
numbers.
I want to throw that apology out there. Any of your family members that may have been there and missed that, I am sincerely sorry, and it won't happen again.
Totally fine.
Okay.
Now I'm on the podcast, so.
Yes, you're on the podcast, and I just wanted to apologize to you in person for that. It was eating me up inside the last month. So in the Midwest, field hockey isn't the most common thing to get into at a young age. So how did you get introduced to the sport?
So there was a YMCA league, and like as a kid, your parents put you in all different types of sports usually. So first I started with soccer, and then I did field hockey, and I started field hockey in 2nd grade. So I think I was like 7, and so I did the YMCA league. And then what's actually really funny about that, the old Bellarmine coach, Coach B, he was here my freshman year. He actually like went to the YMCA games. I don't know why. I guess he recruits like young. I don't know.
Second graders?
I don't know. He came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna like." It came up to my dad and stuff. Was like, "Oh, I could see her coming to Bellarmine, all this stuff." But it's just I thought that was kind of ironic that now that I am here, but. So I did, in 2nd grade, and then middle school, I actually didn't start as a goalkeeper, like, at all until middle school. 6th grade, nobody wanted to be goalkeeper, so I volunteered, and then I kind of just fell in love with it, and it, like, all came, like, really naturally. And then I just stayed with goalkeeping all the way through middle school and high school, and then I did club, and that's how I played in college.
Awesome. What position did you play before goalkeeper?
Midfield.
Okay. Did you like that more?
I like all positions. I don't know. I think goalkeeping like makes me really field smart. Like I understand like what everybody kind of has to do, and so I think playing a little bit of both was just like really sharpened like my field hockey IQ, and I really enjoy field. Whenever we go to Traeger, we have some time before practice, and me and a couple of the girls will like do reverse chips or just like mess around, and that's like one of my favorite parts. Yeah,
it keeps you sharp, and you got to bark out orders to everybody on the team, so you got to know what they're doing, right? So that helps certainly. And you mentioned the moment where the old Bellarmine coach came up to you and said, "Hey, I could see you playing at Bellarmine one day." I guess what age was that? I was going to ask, when did you know, okay, I'm pretty good at this thing?
I would say it was in high school. I really don't like to be like brag on myself, but in high school I started over the older goalkeeper, and and that was my sophomore year. So I started over the junior goalkeeper, and then we went to states, and we made it all the way to the championship. And I think that's when I really realized like I wanted to play in college, and that I can play in college, just because like we were keeping up with these teams that were predicted to like beat us. And
What's your favorite high school field hockey memory?
Honestly, probably the state championship, even though we lost, just because I would say the whole like journey there was just so fun, because we beat Cal, which was like favored to make it to the championship, and they were so upset. And I didn't realize it, but I played a lot of my future teammates during high school. Like Alex Hill was on the Cal team that we beat, and then in the championship it was Manual, which was the team that I was on, and Assumption, and actually the other senior on the field hockey team, Cassie Sweeney, was on the Assumption team, and I didn't know it, but then she ended up beating us, and like we just joke about that all the time now. She like shows off her ring and stuff.
Yeah,
like, I beat you.
She's got the bragging rights.
Yeah.
Are you guys good friends now?
Yeah, we're like 2 peas in a pod. There used to be 3 of us. Then the other girl in our grade left my freshman year, and so after that, me and Cassie had become like really close, like best friends. And I'm kind of glad it's just 2 of us. I don't know what I would do if there was like 3 other girls in the senior class. I think it'd be too much.
You think that's allowed you to get even closer to her?
Yeah.
I see you guys like always walking together after every single game. So I figured there was a pretty good friendship there, but I'm going to ask you about, I guess, your relationship with her and how emotional that senior day is going to be a little bit later on. But kind of working chronologically here, from when you started playing to now, how have you seen the sport grow over the last 15 years or so? Because it's really an Eastern thing, field hockey is, right? In the United States?
Yeah, I would say, like, field hockey is mostly played in, like, Pennsylvania, Maryland. Definitely not, like, in the South, like Florida or any places like that. I would say the skill, like, in players has just been, like, looking back at how I played in high school and now looking at the high school teams now, like, the skill is so much more mature. And, like, I feel like these high school teams could compete at, like, a higher level. Like, just recently, I think yesterday, actually, there was the high school championships in Kentucky, like in Louisville, and it was Sacred Heart and Assumption. And I was watching some of the highlights, and, like, these players just have really great skills. So it's, and also, this freshman that we have, Isabel Gladys, like, she is probably, like, one of the best defenders I've ever played with, and she's only a freshman. And so I'm just really excited to see, like, how all these new players that we got are going to be, like, when they're seniors. Because when I came in, I thought I was, like, pretty good, and then you see how much better you get throughout the years. And, but yeah, I would just say, like, there's a lot of maturity in the sport and, like, the skills.
So you think that maybe because of an increase in popularity in the sport, the skill level is higher now coming in?
Yeah, and I think a lot more girls do club now. And so, like, when you compete against girls from different regions, you kind of pick up on their skills, and it's just almost kind of like a muscle memory thing. Like, once you see somebody do something and it works, you're like, okay, I'm going to do that.
Right. Well, the sport is growing. The program is growing. You guys have done very well recently this year. But before we get to that, I saw on your website bio that you're a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Oh, yeah.
But your favorite player is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, Lamar Jackson, I think he's from Boynton Beach. Yeah, and so I was born in Boynton Beach.
Okay.
And so, and he used to play for U of L. And so my dad works at U of L. And so, I don't know, I just always liked Lamar Jackson. I think his play is super just, like, musical. He's just a really good player. But, yeah, I love the Steelers because I grew up with the Steelers' dad. And so, you know, Ben Roethlisberger, all these other players, like, he has his jerseys. And so I just kind of grew up liking them. But I'm also kind of a Ravens fan now, too.
So who do you root for when they play?
Oh, the Ravens.
So your loyalty is more with Lamar Jackson
Yeah.
than the Steelers as a team. Okay. I'm glad you set the line there.
Might have to change my bio.
Yeah, right. Do you think they should move on from Big Ben in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
He's pretty old.
Yeah, he is.
The arm is weakened significantly.
Yeah.
But no, that's interesting that your allegiances lie there. You mentioned you were born in Boynton Beach.
Mm-hmm.
When did you move to Louisville?
I moved to Louisville when I was 3 years old just because my dad did oil stuff, like scuba diving for, like, oil companies and stuff. And then he switched to technology. So we moved to Louisville, and he worked for a tech company out here.
Very cool. Scuba diving for oil companies.
Yeah, I'm actually a certified scuba diver because of my dad.
How old were you when you got certified?
16.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Have you been scuba diving just to, like, scuba dive for fun anywhere?
Yeah, I've actually recently went to the Cayman Islands, and that's probably the best place to go scuba diving because they have beautiful coral reefs, and the water is so clear. Like, you could probably see, like, 100 feet down or probably even more. And they have, like, so much wildlife. It's really pretty.
Do you want to keep that a hobby for fun, or would you be interested in making something related to scuba a career?
Probably just for fun, but maybe I'll do scuba diving field hockey. I don't know. Make it a sport.
Scuba diving field hockey, how would that work?
I don't know. Isn't there underwater, like, polo or something?
There's water
polo. That's right. And then
I don't know if there's underwater polo.
I don't know. Or I feel like there is an underwater sport.
There probably is. I guarantee there is somewhere, but I'm just trying to think of how you could swing and hit the ball underwater. That'd be pretty challenging. But if there's anybody who could do it, I believe in you.
Yeah.
So we'll add scuba diving to the title, the introduction for Bre McWhorter now. Expert scuba diver, certified scuba diver. Why'd you choose Bellarmine?
Good question. So I grew up in Louisville, so basically this is my hometown. I would consider this my home. And I really loved how small Louisville was, but also how big it was at the same time. I love Bardstown Road. I grew up, like my whole high school life revolved around going out with my friends on Bardstown Road. And I wanted to stay local. I thought at first I would want to go to a big school, but I'm so glad I didn't because I love only having 10 to 15 kids in a class and really getting to know your professor. Even though that's so cliche, but I really did enjoy it. And then also I really like all the people here in the team. I wanted to be part of a team that really cared for each other and that would go out with each other on the weekends or get breakfast before or something like that. And our team does that, and that's what I really cared about because I wanted a place away from home to feel like home, even though I'm not that far. I'm 5 minutes away. But yeah, it was really just the environment of Bellarmine.
You guys seem really tight. Yeah. That's really apparent this year. And I think that probably helped carry you through last year, when you didn't win a game. And before we get to the payoff that you're experiencing right now, what was the most challenging part of last year?
Oh, my gosh. There is so much. Now, looking back at last year, I realized how difficult it really was. Well, first, COVID. I think that was awful. Even though it's still kind of going on, but it was just way worse during our season. Then also, our seasons played during the fall, but last year we played during the spring semester, and we had to practice outside, and it was 30 degrees. And I'm not a cold weather person, so that was awful. I remember conditioning in 2 sweatpants and 2 sweatshirts and 2 pairs of gloves and a hat and everything. It was just really crazy. And then also, nobody likes getting scored on, but especially as a goalie, you can be really hard on yourself, especially when there's games that were 8-0 or 7-0, 5-0. Those are really, really hard mentally. But I'm so thankful that I kind of went through that because I know it made me mentally tougher because we haven't had blowout games like that this year, but UC Davis was a 5-0 game and that was really hard. But then I think that prepared the team, we don't want to lose like that ever again because it is such a annoying feeling. But yeah.
Where were you at mentally coming off that year and into this year, knowing what you had gone through? It did make you mentally stronger, but I'm sure you didn't totally know what to expect in your senior season. Where were you at mentally coming into this year?
So our first game was against Ball State at home, and I was extremely nervous for that just because I knew how close last year's game was. I really didn't know what to expect for this year. I knew our team was ready. We got so much more talent, and our first week of practice was amazing. It was super intense. Everybody was focused. Shots on cage were good. Everything was perfect. And so I was I had really high expectations, and then I feel those expectations are met after we won our first game, and I was expecting us to win a couple more after that, but then we went on a losing streak, and I think that was kind of hit our confidence a lot. But then we came back, and I think we found our confidence again and realized we're not really playing. Yes, you play to win and lose, but you're really just playing the game because you like it and it's fun. And so I felt when we went out there and had fun and worked as a team, the goals came with that.
Was there a turning point where you guys realized that, or did it just come naturally at some point in the middle of the year?
I think every team goes through a mid-year slump, and we definitely had our mid-year slump. And I think we really started to connect as a team after our weekend in St. Louis. just because those were pretty crappy games because we definitely could have won them. And I think after that we realized, like, we can beat these teams that we're playing, so, like, why aren't we beating them? And then, like, it just kind of snapped for us.
Well, now you're winning, and that progress is visible. What do you think the biggest difference for the team has been? Just that mindset change?
Yeah, and definitely the new players that came in, like, they definitely brought a lot of talent in and a lot of great personalities. Like, the freshmen this year are amazing. They have so much talent. I'm really excited to, like, watch them over the years. And I just really think being a part of a team and really liking each other translates on the field.
Yeah, the chemistry certainly helps.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this earlier, and I'm not saying this is a slight, but you're like a 4'11" brick wall.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't have quite as much height in goal to take up the space, but what advantages do you think that gives you?
Even though I'm not tall, and, like, all the other teams we play, their goalies are, like, diesel, like, these huge, like, wide, like, girls. I'm like, oh, my God. But I think one thing that they don't have that I have is I would say that I'm very quick and, like, agile. I guess since I'm low to the ground, I could get there faster. But I would say I'm very quick, and agile.
I caught for baseball in high school, and a lot of catchers are really short, stocky, thick. I am tall and skinny. So people don't think of me as a catcher, but when I caught in high school, I was quick and agile. And the one good thing I did, I was not very good at many things, but I could block a ball. And that's what you do in the cage every single game. So I can relate at least on some level to that. I don't do it to nearly the level that you do in college athletics, but still, I totally understand what you're saying there. And when you block, you use all four limbs. You use your chest, you use your head to stop these shots. Obviously, where the ball is dictates what part of your body you use to stop it. But there's some that are kind of tweeners where you could probably use your stick, your arm, your leg. How do you decide what to use in those situations?
Good question. Sometimes, like, my body just takes control and does something. But for the most part, let's say if a ball is like 3 feet ahead of me and a girl's coming, like, to the ball, I'll, like, dive and hit the ball out with my stick just because it's quicker than running up to it and possibly, like, the girl touching it and it, like, tipping it somewhere. But I think it all depends on, like, the speed and the distance of the ball. But yeah, I really like to just dive with my stick. I'm really confident with my stick. So I like to use it whenever I can.
I'm sure over the years it's basically just become an extension of your arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also curious, when there's so much going on in front of net, I know how hard it is to score for us and keep the stats when a million people are swiping at it. I can't imagine what you have to deal with trying to find the ball, watch where everybody is. How do you focus with so much going on in front of the net? Or what do you focus on?
I think a big part for me is just communicating. I have a really good defense this year. I know defense was kind of iffy last year. I don't think, like, we were confident, but our defense this year is extremely confident. We know what to do. And so I think my first step, like, as a goalkeeper is just to have everybody, like, where I want them, because I kind of set up defense to give me the best play. I kind of play it out in my head, like, okay, if she's in front of this girl, she most likely can't get the ball and she'll pass here and I can get that ball. And so basically I just like to communicate, like, hey, I like everybody here. And then hopefully if they do that, things work out. But there's times where, like, you know, a girl will just run in and then it's like a 4v3 or something like that. And, like, we're down numbers. So after that, you can only communicate so much, and then you have to, like, focus on the shot. So right when they lift their stick and it looks like they're about to hit it, I just get set and just stop talking and, like, focus on the shot.
That's interesting. It seems like you're playing chess there, trying to get a couple of steps ahead. Like, okay, if she lines up here, they're going to pass it there, and I can stop that shot if I'm positioned here. That's great insight. How beat up are you after a game?
Oh, my gosh. I'm exhausted. I mean, I drink an Alani Nu before the game, so I feel like amazing. I'm like, wow, I could run like 6 miles right now. And then I think like third quarter, it like finally wears off, and I'm like, wow, my legs are tired. But at that adrenaline during the game just gets me so pumped that I don't really realize it until after, let's say, like we get on the bus for an away game and I'm starting to eat, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a nap. Or when I get home, I'm like, yeah, I need to go to sleep.
Is that an energy drink?
Yeah, it is. I think
Okay.
a lot of girls on our team drink it.
Yeah. Get you hyped?
Yeah.
Well, if we see a slight energy dip at the end of the third quarter, we may know
Yeah.
the reason for it now.
Might need another drink.
So we were touching on this before we came on. The last 2 field hockey games, potentially, of your life are coming up. Has that soaked in?
Not really. I know. I don't really feel upset. Like, it doesn't feel like this will be my last week. But I know for Cassidy, it's already setting in. Like, our last game at Traeger was this past weekend. And I went up to her and I was like, hey, this is our last game at Traeger. And she just started crying.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. Because I guess it really hasn't hit me yet, because I wasn't really upset after that game. I mean, because we won, but also because, you know, we're going to practice there tomorrow. But I think after this week's done and we have the senior dinner and senior day or whatever, it'll probably hit and I'll probably cry. Because I know my parents will cry, and if I see them, I'll probably cry.
But Cassidy would be the first to cry of
Yeah.
you two.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the senior day dinner and the ceremony, like, what have you thought about when you picture that in your mind?
Well, me and Cassie have actually planned for the last game that once the bell like rings, it's over. We're just gonna run to each other and hug each other, and anybody else that tries to touch us, they're just gonna get the palm, and we'll like push them over. It's just gonna be us two.
This is our moment.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Exactly. Like, she'll be all the way up there because she's a forward, but I told her, like, and she already promised, like, yeah, we're running to each other, nobody else, and then they can all come after. But
Now, how much time do you need to have that
oh
moment?
gosh, she'll have to run fast.
Give us like 5 to 10 seconds. Let's hug it out, and then
Yeah.
everybody else can come in.
Yeah.
No matter the score. All right. We'll be on the lookout for that on Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, what's your best Halloween costume of all time?
Let me think. I think my favorite Halloween costume was... What was I? Oh, I was a green pea as a child. And that's my favorite costume because I love peas. That's my favorite food.
I'm being totally honest here. I don't think I've ever heard of someone dressing as a green pea.
Yeah, I know.
That's unique. I love it.
Yeah.
Just because you love peas.
Yeah, that's my favorite food. I eat them.
I've never heard of that
day.
either.
They're really good.
Do you like other vegetables?
Yeah, I love vegetables. I like butternut squash. I don't know. I'm kind of a health nut. I like just a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, everything, but also like a lot of junk food. So I eat my junk food during season just because it'll go away. And then off season, I try to eat healthy.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that your favorite food is peas and you eat a lot of fruits and veggies probably has to be a thrill for your parents that
Oh, yeah.
they raised a daughter that likes to eat healthy and they can have that peace of mind.
Yeah, I wasn't an issue as a kid.
Are you going to bring the green pea costume back at any point?
Honestly, I might. Actually, we had a Halloween practice yesterday, and me and my friend Kennedy, who's on the team, we were going to both be 2 peas in a pod, but kind of too late. We planned too late.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
clever, though. Mm-hmm. So in the future, look out for the pea pod costume from
Yeah.
Bre McWhorter. So as you reflect on your career, what's going to sting the heart the most, make you most emotional as you look back?
Probably the bus rides and the hotel trips. I really like hanging out in the hotel with all my friends, and the bus rides are a lot of fun. Like when we beat Ball State, we stopped at Dairy Queen, and it was just like a bunch of fun. And like seeing the coaches, And just little, like, things here and there, like all those little memories that you don't really realize are important until, like, you look back. But, yeah.
Anytime an athlete reflects on their career, they, of course, are going to miss some moments on the field, on the court, but it seems to be those off-the-field relationships and moments that come up in the mind of every athlete. So you're going to have plenty of time to reflect on that. I know you got a couple of games left, and you're focused on those, but yeah, no, I'm not surprised, to be honest, that you said that at all. That seems to be a pretty common thing for athletes. So what do you want to do after school?
So I'm a communications and marketing communications major, and I want to do something with strategic planning or what is it called? Oh, project management. Just because I like planning and working on just on like huge projects. Or like events and stuff like that. Also like writing, so I'm okay with like doing reports or like research findings and stuff like that.
Well, you're 2 steps ahead on the field, and you like to plan, for your career. So that seems like a perfect move.
Yeah.
Maybe incorporate scuba diving somehow too.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice.
You can be a scuba diving project manager. That's your future career.
I like that. I'd do that.
Well, Bre, you've been fantastic on the podcast this year and all 4 years. Thank you for coming on today, and enjoy these last couple of games that you have.
Yes, thank you for inviting me on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun up here in the President's Room. Bre McWhorter on the Knights of the Round Table podcast. Bre and the Knights are on the road at Miami of Ohio Friday afternoon to wrap up MAC play before hosting St. Francis in the regular season finale and senior day on Halloween. That does it for the 4th episode of the Knights of the Round Table podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on social media at BU Knights. Make sure to join us again next week. I'm Jack Kaiser, and Swords Up.